Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to do some more Hobie Adventure Island modifications. Now, it doesn't look like an Adventure Island right now because I've got the Amas and Akas off so I can work on it a little easier. But let me show you what we're going to do in no particular order here. First, we're going to try and seal up this hatch. We got a yoga mat we're going to cut up to put in here, try and get it to seal a little bit better, so we're going to do that. Our Garmin has not been operational because we haven't had a battery since our Hobie sailing adventure. We were swamped here and our batteries literally corroded out, so I had to get a new battery. And then in the backs where we're going to be doing most of our work, we are going to install a makeshift battery box. We are going to install an auto bilge pump back here that I bought, and all that's going to go down in this hole here. So let's go inside because all the stuff's in there. It's pretty hot out here. We're going to do most of our fabricating in there, so let's go show you what we got.
You're watching Florida Man TV. Let's do this.
So we'll start with the Amped Outdoors 30 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery that I bought directly from Amped. Talked to the guy on the phone. He was really cool about getting me what I needed. Now, I thought by the measurements that this would fit in this Hobie bucket right here, and I could just make a little battery box and drop it in there. Well, it fits, but the lid is no way going to seal, so my measurement was off a little bit. So we bought a Ozark Trail, just kind of I don't know what you want to call this thing, a storage box, a little marine storage box. It's got the kind of rubber seal in there. So we're going to try and fit this. Now, it's a little big for what I really needed, but it fits the battery, and so we can get our battery in there and close the box. Now, I really wish it was a little shorter, but we're going to try and make do. I've already test fitted it. It will go in the Hobie in a weird way, but that's our battery box. Here's our little bilge pump. It's a sail flow bilge pump that we got on the old Amazon here. It's an automatic float style. We're going to be modifying that to make sure that it sucks water as quickly as possible. We've got some picture hangers or some plastic Velcro command strips to kind of mount it in the kayak. We've got a fuse that we got to wire up to the bilge pump. We've got some clamps for a hose that was outside that you'll see later on. We've got a fitting here that I bought that's going to go into this modified drain plug in the back of the Hobie Adventure Island. And then we've got some silicone. Angel's throwing balls at me. We got some silicone and some Gorilla tape here, mounting tape in case we need it. And of course a plethora of connectors, wire, and shrink wrap. So first what I'm going to do is build the battery box, and when I get that all built, I'll show it to you guys here in a second and explain it. Alright, we got some things rigged up here. This is our new battery box. The silicone is still curing here, but let me show you quick what I got going on here. So you open this guy up, and you know, your main leads from the battery. Mainly I want to protect the battery, so you got your main leads from the battery, and here we put some foam in there to keep the battery from sliding around in there. Can close the box and seal it up, and then our wires come out here. We've taken our leads and split them into pairs here so we can run the bilge pump and the Garmin fish finder all on these leads here. Little fuse wired in there for the bilge pump, and then we've got the bilge pump, of course, connectors here wired in. I decided to go with a switch. I did some float testing on this thing. I put some foam in the bottom here to try and get the float switch to work a little bit better. But it works, but I want to be able to pump more water out, so I'm probably going to wire this up on a switch, and I'll just turn it on and off if I need to, because the pickup is pretty low. You probably can't see it, but the pickup is that white in between those little ribs there. And so the pickup's pretty low. You can get a lot of water out and just leave a little bit in there. But the float leaves the water level about like here. So, you know, not really to my liking. Now I can wire it up dual purpose where it's on automatic and I have the switch, and I might do it that way. But let's move on here. We've got our original drain plug here, which I snipped this guy off, which is just a little keeper that keeps you from losing it. And the way this is going to work is I have drilled a hole all the way through this drain plug. I still have the little wings on there that I can screw it in there, but we're going to put this on the end of the hose, poke it out of the hull, which you'll see, and then this guy is a very tight fit in there that we can screw down and get it exiting the boat. Alright guys, I'm going to try and beat the storm here, keep this as short as possible for you as well. We have our hose barb here constructed on our hose. This was the hose I was telling you about. It's a reinforced hose. Our bilge pump, he is installed down here on the Velcro. It's kind of secure. And then we got our wires here. Here's where our plug goes in the back of the Hobie. So this plug screws in. I'm hoping this works as planned, but we're gonna find out. I'm gonna do some more rigging, be back with an update, show you if it's installed. Okay guys, bilge pump is installed. We've got our spout here for discharge. And then we've got our hose just running right up there. Pretty simple. Now I'm going to run a wire for the switch on the bilge pump, and then we'll show you how this battery box gets finagled in here. Let me show you guys a little trick. I need to run wires from back here all the way up here. My arms are not long enough to reach all the way up there, and I need to go through the sealed area of the hull. Well, wire, when you try and push it, it just bends and crinkles up and stuff. But a hose does not. So I turn the curve end of the hose towards the edge of the kayak, run the hose down there, and now I essentially have a conduit sticking out from both ends right here, and I can feed my wires through there, loose of course, not connected. And then once the wires are run, then I can just pull this hose out and boom, your wires are run. So little tip for you. I have run my wires and pulled my tube or hose out. You know, you can use an old garden hose or whatever, but it works pretty good. Just make sure you grab a hold of one of the ends while you're pulling the tube out from the other side, obviously, so you can pull your wires through. All right, I'm gonna put some connectors on, try and wire some stuff up, not waste your time, and I'll be back with another update when we get ready to put the battery in. We wired up our bilge pump to the switch here. So I've got him temporarily plugged into the battery pack to test all of that. So that runs, of course, up through here, comes out our hole. I'm probably going to put a wire loom or electrical tape this later, but you can't really do that in the rain. Anyway, comes up and around, kind of secured here too. Little secret switch. I got my little secret switch right there. And just to show you it works, we're gonna flip the switch. So that works. We got the bilge pump wired up on manual mode. And this Garmin electronics here, this is all the cord they give you. Just this short little run right here for power. So we had to make an extension. So we went ahead and made an extension. And that extension, of course, does the same thing. Comes to the back to right here, but I'm not gonna wire that up right now. I am done for today. So for me, I'm going inside. I'm gonna get out of the rain, and I will be back with you guys lickety split tomorrow to finish this up. All right guys, I'm back next day, and I've finished up some wiring. We're ready for our testing. Let's show you the final product. So what we've done here is we have our positive lead. This one is for the Garmin. This one is split again because I decided that I want to go ahead and run both the auto bilge in case I'm not paying attention, and it really gets full, it'll turn on, and then the manual switch as well, and of course the ground. I've kind of put a little keeper, as I say, a little shrink tube on there just to keep these two together and identified so I know what they are. And then of course we have our two negatives here for our battery box. Again, going over the battery box real quick, pretty simple thing. All I'm doing is just running the wires right through there and keeping the battery, I hope, dry. So, you know, if this thing was completely submerged, you dropped it in water, it probably would leak, but for in the back, unless the water comes all the way up, which it did on my sailing adventure, we should be good. And with the bilge in there, that should keep the water level at a decent level here. And we're also going to try and fix the leak. But enough rambling, let's plug this thing in and do some tests before we drop it in the hole and show you how this crazy thing goes in that little hatch. Okay, we're all plugged up here. Let's first turn you upside down and check the auto bilge with the little test switch. Auto bilge works. Test the switch. Switch works, so our bilge is working. Let's pop our Garmin off here. And the moment of truth. Does the Garmin light up? It beeped. So I think we are good to go. And our Garmin is showing 13.2 volts, so that's good to go. Battery's fully charged. All right, let's go ahead and kick this guy off. Now, let me see if I can show you how this box goes in. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but it goes in there. Try and do this one-handed. And as you can tell, the box is definitely too long to just slide in all nice. So it's just a hair too tall. It won't fit down in the hole and slide under. So you have to open the box. And this might not be the best camera angle here, but all right, so you open the box and it will clear with a little push, and it goes down in the hole. Then you slide the box back. Uh-oh, I didn't take into account my silicone here. Ah, there it goes. And then you've got some room to get in here and do your latch. So that's how it goes in. Now what I'm gonna work on is some kind of a keeper or a block of foam or something I can put back here to keep this from sliding around. But you don't really need to see that. The point is, all of our stuff is here, and I'm thinking that with the box here, I should be able to lay my cables over top like this, and there you go. So we're in, and we are powered with our Amped Outdoors battery. Now let's move on to the final thing that I want to do, and that is seal this hatch up. Last time I was out, it was leaking pretty bad through here, and I did a kind of quick temporary fix by taking this seal off of the top hatch, and that allowed it to sit down lower. What we're actually going to do is the reverse. We're going to put the top seal back onto the hatch here, and we're going to take the bottom seal off. What we're going to do is we're going to put an old piece of yoga mat I have in here, and that should sit on this edge and push down and hopefully create a better seal. So I'm going to go rig all that up, and I'll just be back with you to show you what it looks like. But before that, I figured you guys probably want to see it as bad as I do. Does the bilge really work? So we're going to fill the kayak with water here in the old garden hose. I've got it pretty much level. You can see our water is filling up kind of even in the kayak as it would when you are down there taking on water in the ocean. So I'm going to wait for the auto bilge first, and then I'm going to click on the rest of the bilge on manual to see how much water it actually sucks out. And then of course we'll drain the rest of it by tipping the kayak back and pulling the drain plug. But we got to test it, because you got to test it now. You don't want to get out there on the water and figure out it don't work right. She's filling up. She should kick on almost any time here. Keep your eye on our spout. Hopefully it doesn't pop out of there under the pressure. I don't know. It's going to be a Venturi effect with a big hose tapering down to a small nozzle. We'll see if it pops out of there. Hey, auto bilge, look at that. All right, we'll shut the hose off. Hey, she works good. Look at that. All right. Pump the water out. It's on auto still. We'll see when it shuts off how far down the water goes. That's a pretty decent stream, I guess. If you would really have to be taking on a lot of water for it to not be able to keep up, I think. But the water level's going down. The problem with the auto bilge is it takes so long for the bilge to turn on. They need to make these floats way more sensitive. And I know they make hydroelectric, I guess it is, a electric switch that when it senses water at a very low level, it makes an electrical connection, turns the bilge on. That's probably the way to go, but those pumps are like $150, $180. So for me, I'm just trying to get some sort of protection where I don't have to stop when I'm out there doing some saltwater fishing if I take on water. And it shut off. All right. So the auto bilge shut off and left us about this much water. I don't know if you guys can see down there, but I mean, there's still a bit of water in the kayak. Now, that's why I wanted the manual switch. You can see not too bad here, but there's some water here. Not too bad. What is that? About just over one knuckle deep. Now let's flip our switch. And that's all the water she's sucking? No. It's pumping a little more water out, but it's doing it very slowly because I think it's cavitating and sucking air. We don't really want to burn the motor out. Yeah, I can see it sucking air when I flick it on and off. Well, it'll keep us from sinking, but let me see if I can prop this up a little bit and see if we can get more water out. We propped it up a little more, and she's taking out more water by herself on the auto bilge. So we're definitely not level. We were level before, but if we're a little back heavy, we got gear back here, it might bilge a little bit better. But she's shooting out pretty good. And it's gonna shut off. There it goes. Huh. And on manual, same thing. So it's not the best. The bottom of the kayak is curved, right? And the bilge is flat. So I think that's where we're getting that extra water that it doesn't want to pump out. But the main idea here, guys, is that we're trying not to sink or become completely full of water like we were on our 120-mile sail. So it works. I'm gonna drain the rest of this out, work on the hatch right there. Maybe we can just make it more waterproof and not have to worry about this in the first place. All right, here we have our old unused yoga mat. I think it's a closed cell foam, but it's pretty squishy and it should provide a seal, I hope. We got our hatch, we're gonna trace it out, cut it out, and then we're going to silicone it on the inside here and then put our latch holder back in. Okay guys, in case you want to do this, if you lay the hatch down like I had it and trace around the outside edge, cut on that line, and because of the curve of the hatch, it fits inside very nicely. So we're going to take it outside and we're going to see if it fits on the hatch opening and if it is making contact all the way around here, and if so, then we'll glue this in. Okay, here's our hatch opening. This bottom seal, they put glue on it, and I had to use a little flapper wheel and kind of sand it down, and then I grabbed some sandpaper and hand smoothed it all the way around there. So keep that in mind if you do this. That glue is a pain to get off on these old Hobies. Let's see if this thing sits down there. It does. And I feel air squeezing out of this hole right here, which means I think we got a pretty good seal. Let's see if we can get an imprint and see if it's really sealing. Push down a little bit, and you can see, maybe the camera won't pick it up, but right here you can see that that's where our hatch line is sitting. So I think we're good to glue this in. I'm actually going to use silicone to glue it in, because then you can easily peel it out if you have to at some point, instead of using some crazy high sticky glue. I don't know, you know what I mean. I want it removable. All right, we've got it stuck in there with some silicone. Put some weights on there just to keep it curved and in contact with the lid while it sets up a little bit. What I'm going to do after it sets up is I'm going to come back in and I'm going to silicone this edge all the way in here as well, and put the seal back on with some silicone, so that everything will be all siliconed in, and it's going to be as watertight as possible when I put the seal back on. So if you're doing this, I put it on the couch just to give it some cushion, since it is a curved top, so it's kind of sitting flat, not wanting to roll one side or the other. But my wife's not home, so if you're going to do this, make sure you do it when the wife's not home. Love you, honey. Our lid has cured overnight. I put the safety strap in so you don't lose your lid. Put that back on there. You will need a little bit longer bolt just to clear the foam. If you use this thick of a foam like I did, you could use a thinner foam, which would probably let it seat down a little deeper if you want, but I'm going for a thick foam because that's what I had on hand. We re-put our seal on the top here. We siliconed, put a bead of silicone around the edge first before we laid the seal on there, just to make sure that it's sealed under that seal, if that makes sense. The seal is sealed. And we have shortened our bungees considerably for more down tension. So they are shortened and much tighter to hold that lid down. I still have this one off to show you. All I did was cut a considerable length off. Now I pinched it with my finger and kind of tested the stretch to see what its maximum stretch was going to be. Then you tie a new knot in there and cut off the excess. But to give you an idea of how much I cut off, how loose that hatch tension was. And then we just got to put these guys back in here. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you haven't seen these bungee plugs, they just screw in there. You'll need a pair of needle nose pliers or the Hobie Hobie tool, remove tool, and you just unscrew these, tie a new knot, tighten it down, put it back in there. All right, guys, so that's almost going to do it for our upgrades. One last little bonus thing that we're doing, not really upgrade maybe, but maintenance. We're going to silicone lubricate all of our hatches here, because our hatches are very sticky even when we turn it. Can you hear that? Everything's very sticky and they don't go down. You have to bang them to get them to go down, and I'm wondering if that's deforming this rubber seal in there and allowing them to leak a little bit. So I'm gonna grab some silicone grease, be right back, we'll finish this video up. All right, we got our silicone grease here. You can go to any hardware store really and just go to the plumbing section. They should have silicone grease. It's high temp, waterproof, supposed to work out good. What we're gonna do is just use our finger here. We're gonna take a little bit of this and just rub it all along this seal here. Then we'll check it, see if my idea works. Okay, probably won't come up on camera too well, but if you see the shiny there, just a very thin layer. We didn't goop it on or nothing, we're just very thin layer, rubbed it around there. Now you're live with me, I haven't closed this hatch yet. We'll give it a shot. Hatch down. Oh my goodness, look at that. Up and down, see? No more sticking. It did work. That's exactly what we wanted. We just wanted to be able to open the hatch, close the hatch. Look at that. Man, Sometimes I amaze myself. Alright guys, I'm gonna do the rest of the hatches, or the other hatch there, with some silicone grease, and that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you learned something, hope I gave you some ideas, maybe helped you with your vessel as well. I don't know if my front hatch is gonna be waterproof. I'm gonna let it cure probably a week, make sure that silicone's really nice and cured since it doesn't get much air under the foam. And then I'm gonna hit it with a hose and do a hose test. Might do a very short update, like a minute or two, to see if we've really cured our leaking issue. And we'll see if the hatches leak with a water test on the hose too. We'll put a GoPro inside and see if it's dripping water through that silicone or not. I don't know if maybe the seals are just old and shrunk and that's why they're leaking, or if they were binding up. But I appreciate you guys watching the video, and if you liked or learned something, please hit the like button. Subscribe if you would like to. It does help me on the algorithm to show that I've got people following the channel. So if you like Hobie content, hit the subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bonus content. So welcome to my messy shed. I'm over there at the kayak, buttoning it up, getting ready to leave, and all of a sudden I hear this psh, and my auto inflate life jacket here has gone ahead and dispensed its canister and inflated. Now, I don't know if it fell and the little tab caught on something, but this thing says jerk to inflate, and I don't think it really jerked. It was a little damp. Sorry. It is a little damp in here, but there's no water in that release chamber or whatever. No water in this chamber that would release it, just a little moisture. I've been storing it like this for a while and it hasn't inflated, but it decided to go ahead and inflate, so it works and it doesn't have any leaks. But now I got to get a new canister at like $20 something a canister. Weird, just auto inflated by itself. I don't know if you got any ideas whether moisture finally seeped into that disc and made it activate. It's not supposed to. It's only supposed to do it when you have like submerged on that disc, submerged water. Or maybe you know how little pressure it takes on this pull cord. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't take much pressure on this pull cord. Let me know if you got an idea in the comments. Thanks. And let's go get this stuff prepped. Get this stuff prepped? No. We are going to seal the hatch up, not in this particular order. We, shit, do it again. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna do some more Hobie modifications. Hobie Adventure Island modifications, not Hobie modifications. Now, it doesn't look like a Hobie Adventure Island right now because I've got the Hobie bucket. I'll show you here right now. Redo.